Good evening and happy Tuesday. I hope that you guys have had a good day today. And if you haven't for some reason, then I hope that being able to study the Word of God will just continually bring joy into your heart and kind of change the outcome of your day. Our daily reading for today was Exodus chapters 29 through 30, and I want us to primarily focus on chapter 29 tonight. So if I could summarize, I guess for me, what I read in chapter 29. Now, it's a lot of details, it's a lot of information, but what I was pulling from that is about consecration. So it's being consecrated for the Lord. Now, the first thing we need to do is determine, what does that mean? What does it mean to be consecrated to the Lord and for the Lord? Well, that means to be set apart. It means it's the act of dedicating yourself to the service and the worship of the Lord, and it's to be made holy or to be dedicated to a higher purpose. So to be set apart, what does that mean? And what did it mean for them at that time? So the purpose of the ceremony, it was to consecrate themselves. That is for the priest to be set aside for God's purpose. And in this particular chapter, that was what he was explaining and explaining and showing them. These are the things, these are the steps that you need to take in order for you to be consecrated for me so that I can do these things. Now, that's the beginning. And if you go to the latter part of the chapter, and it's verses 42 through 43, it's basically summarized. It's why God wanted the daily sacrifices and continual consecration. So I'm going to read those verses. It says this: "This shall be a continual burnt offering throughout your generations at the door of the tabernacle of meeting before the Lord, where I will meet you to speak with you. And there I will meet with the children of Israel, and the tabernacle shall be sanctified by my glory." So when he says, "I will meet you," God, he was desiring his people and the priest to perform those daily sacrifices so that he could meet and speak with his people. Now remember, this was before Jesus came, and this was before he became that sacrifice for us, and now we have access to the throne. We have access to the Father, and he is there sitting on the right-hand side interceding for us, which is amazing. But this was before that. And so they had to consecrate themselves, and they had to perform these sacrifices so that they could hear from God and that they could go before him. It's very important to remember that this was something that they had to take seriously and that they had to do with a pure heart and pure intention. So this is a great reason for consecration, for a sense of full surrender to God. It wasn't just so that they could be better workers for God. It was so that they could enjoy just a deeper and more meaningful relationship with him. It was so that they could hear from him, so that they could have him right there with them. And it says, "And the tabernacle shall be sanctified by my glory." So it was the presence of God that truly sanctified and consecrated the tabernacle and the priests. It wasn't just because of what the priests did, but what the priests did in consecration removed the barriers to the glory of God. That's powerful, and to think that they had to perform all of these steps and just for them to have the glory of God in their life. And then here we are with Jesus, and we can live in that. I mean, that is a beautiful thing to think about, and that's encouraging. And when you read Romans 12, verses 1 through 2, it says this: "And so, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because of all he has done for you. Let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind he will find acceptable. This is truly the way to worship him. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn God's will and know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect." So how can we apply this to our lives today? Well, we should desire to consecrate ourselves to him daily, just like they did. We should desire to be set apart so that when the world looks at us, they don't see us, but they see him. That our words and our actions would be a reflection of him. That we wouldn't consume ourselves with the worldly customs or the sinful nature, but instead we would be set apart, that we'd be focused on him, that we'd be seeking to be holy as he is. And also to know his word and to live in his word. Allowing God to transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. And by doing so, you'll know the will of God for your life, which the basic understanding for every Christian is that the will of God is so that we would live for him, that we would sacrifice and set apart our lives for him so that his will can be accomplished. But if you struggle, if you find yourself in a place where you go, God, I just don't know. What do you want? What do you want? Where do you want me to be? Then just seek his word. Daily consecrate yourself. Be set apart. Be transformed by the way that you think. And let the word of God be the one that helps you change the way that you think. And you will start to see clearly. And you will see God clearly. And he will speak to you more clearly because you are focused in on him. Because you are consecrated to him. You are set apart for him. And that you are dedicated and loyal to him. I hope that this has encouraged you. I hope that you can take this and go, okay, God, I want to do this daily. I want to be dedicated to you. I want to be disciplined for you. And I hope that you continually grow in him and love him. Have a blessed evening.